And we are live. Why is no one talking about this? Wherever thought goes, energy follows. Welcome to the show, Head On with Michael. It's a Wednesday night here, 6 o'clock Mountain Time, and it's 7 o'clock Mountain Time in Arizona. We're going to be going to Nevada here. I want to welcome everyone. We're going to be talking about thought. Now, our program today is Wherever Thought Goes, Energy Follows. And we're going to have the lovely Het-Heru out of Las Vegas. We're going to be telling you a little bit about her essential oils here. Now, one of the things that, here on this show is I've given you 10 principles that can help you become a better adult. The first one is being an adult of your spirit. Being an adult of your spirit is acknowledging that you actually have a spirit and that you go on. This is not the only destination here. We're going someplace else also. And with that comes with being an adult of your mind, an adult of my mind. Now, the third one is an adult of my thought. And if you don't believe that thoughts have energy, then just realize that you are what you think about. And in that thinking comes intention. And in that intention, it sends out energy. And it sends out something out into the universe. Now I'm going to bring in here our lady of the hour. How you doing?
I'm good. I live in Las Vegas. I'm glad you didn't say the lady of the evening.
Oh, no.
Because it is Las Vegas.
I know, but I don't know.
No,
I
got
don't
you.
really put two and two together.
I'm well. I'm well. Every day in every way gets better, better, and better.
How's your new year going? You just said you had your birthday here at the first of the year. In case
I did.
Anybody who's ever seen the show knows she's born on January 1st, 37, right? I don't know. I'm like, sometimes there's something going on with me in the head. I get things backwards.
A little dyslexic or something, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, before we start, please, everyone, subscribe to the show here. Please press that bell. We've got over 300,000 views, but, YouTube doesn't like us because I guess they want us to keep our heads in the sand here. But we do need subscribers to get this out because there is wisdom here. So now here we are, and wherever thoughts goes, energy flows, energy follows. So I don't know, you're the one who hit this up because we always talk about, well, what do we talk about? So let's let you go ahead and start talking within how thoughts goes. And thanks again for being here, Het-Heru.
Always a pleasure. I always ask the ancestors, my spiritual guides, what did you want me to talk about? And I channel. Okay, that's I guess folks call it a medium, but I get quiet and I allow the higher mind, the connection to the higher beings in my life to come forth and share it because we all have the same goal. Michael and I have the same goal. The reason we do this program is that we want to contribute in some way to assist you to make your life better. So when I asked, what do they want? This is what they told me. Now, I've been using this term for forever because I am a student of metaphysics. And metaphysics, people have physical issues. And so a lot of times they study anatomy or they get involved in some form of physical work in order to assist with their back injuries or, challenges or this or that. For me, it was mind. And I've shared with you many times about the period of depression and so forth that I went through. It was metaphysics that helped me take a hold of that. It was learning how to use my mind in a constructive way, but it began first with learning how to use my mind. Now, we live in a universe that's directed by law. All of us are subjected to the laws of the universe. For example, the law of gravity. I don't care what your birth sign is, what your financial situation is, what your age is, The law of gravity, what goes up is going to come down. There is an intelligence in this that that operates this universe in which we live that is it's in it is an intelligence, and it behooves us to learn how to work with it in an intelligent way. Throwing emotional tantrums or being disappointed or angry or some of the other emotions that we go through does not help us, because this is an intelligence. And so we learn how to work with this intelligence in an intelligent way. And metaphysics is one of the tools that we can use to help us do this. Physics is the science of how things are operated, how they come together, etc. Metaphysics is in relationship to how the mind works. Now, for me, I took many courses, read many books. I was very blessed when I got interested in this study of metaphysics. Many of these great masters were still, just like my yoga experience, we're still walking planet Earth. Dr. Joseph Murphy, who wrote The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. So many great, and being in LA, they were all over everywhere. Or I would go someplace to hear them. And there was a course that I took. It was called Mind Biotics. It was given by a woman by the name of Helen Bangs. This was in Orange County, California. And Helen really helped us to understand the nature of the mind. And she used the tools. She had studied with a gentleman by the name of Max Freedom Long. Max Freedom Long was an educator who went to Hawaii because he had this, I'm sure he was well intentioned, but I think ego based idea that he was going to go and help these folks in Hawaii, who were not as evolved as he. He was going to enlighten them, teach them so that they could be enlightened as he. However, what he found was that these folks were a lot more enlightened, a lot wiser in a lot of ways than this man was. He would watch these people come to the sand, the ocean, and literally call fish in. And it was something that just he couldn't understand. Why were they able to do that? And it came to him in a dream that it was through the power of the word. Michael and I often talk about the power of the word. But the word has an image that goes with it. We are a multi-dimensional being. If I had a tuning fork right now and I hit the tuning fork, you would see it vibrate. That is how we're operating. Those of us who have very strong intuitive skills, that's how we're able to do what we do, because we are able to tap into the vibration of the person with whom we're reading or for whom we're reading. We are a being that operates in a physical world. That's our physical vehicle, body. We have what we call an emotional body. We have a mental body, and we have an etheric double. It is the etheric double that connects, when we talk about the chakras, the spiritual centers, that connects us with the higher being. Max Freedom Long understood, he presented it this way. He was learning from these native people. And oh, by the way, when the Europeans started coming to the islands, they left their priests. The name escapes me right now, but they'll come back. They left and went into the mountains, into the hills, because they knew it was going to have an effect on their spiritual teachings. So they took this information and took it into the hills or mountains where they were so that they could maintain it. They understood, they believed in three selves. They believed in the low self, middle self, and high self. The low self, in connection to the mind, was what we call the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is what brings us the experiences that we have in life. It's a very powerful part of our thinking process. Middle self is our choosing mind. It's the one that says, there is the right and perfect parking space for me, and I accept that. Low self accepts that word and that image. And then the higher mind produces it. So for folks who are thinking, I'll never be able to get a parking space, there's not enough space for me, there's not enough this, there'll never be someone in my life, they'll never have the right job, I'll never have, and on and on and on. Low self is bringing to you what it is that you are programming it to do. It's an obedient servant. So it behooves us to be selective with what we're thinking, because wherever thought goes, energy or power follows. I had cats back in the 70s. Well, I had them longer than that, 70s, 80s, 90s. I'd never had cats before. It was always dogs. Fascinating animals. But one of the things that I observed is, I might not see my cats. They might be in another part of the room, or a house rather, whatever. But when I got quiet and I focused my attention on something, out of so-called nowhere, here they would come and lie in the space where I was focused, because they're really sensitive to that. We, as I said, are this multi-dimensional being. We operate through laws, the laws that govern the universe in which we live. The law is wherever thought goes, whatever you're concentrating, wherever you're focusing your attention, especially on a continual basis, and most importantly, and you put your emotion, because that emotional body is a very powerful body. When you put your emotions to it, then you manifest your experience. Everything is energy. Everything is energy. I liked Michael had put something earlier. He spelled it INN or G. I like that. I used to always say we have an inner standing because we're powerful beings. When I was putting this together and realizing this is something I've shared with people for many, many, many years, and I was thinking, okay, thoughts, yes, are powerful, but who is it or what is it that is thinking through the thoughts, that's manifesting the thoughts? And the answer, of course, they gave me was the soul. That is the essence of you. That was what triggered this whole experience in life for me to get on the path that I got onto, because when I went to see my deceased mother, when I went to her funeral, it was open casket. I wanted the family members to come up. My mother and I were not very close, so it was mixed emotions. And I didn't want to do this, but my brother, bless his heart, insisted that I do. And when I looked into the casket, I had this it was like a light bulb moment that what I had known as my mother those 18 years was lying in this casket. There was her body, but I didn't have the frames of reference that I now have. I hadn't started this path yet. It just shocked me into the awareness that what I had known as my mother all those years was not this body lying in this casket. And so I asked the question, if that's not who we are, of course, this is going on in mind. If that's not who we are, then just who are we? And the blessing came a year later when yoga was presented to me and started me on a path to study. I got into the teachings, the Eastern teachings of Hinduism, and I was a devotee of Satya Sai Baba for a number of years, and his teaching was what we call Bhakti Yoga, which is unconditional love. That's very important. And when it was time for me, and of course, some Buddhism, I'm probably very much, I am a person that feels that I embrace teachings, many teachings in my understanding of how the universe works. And Buddhism is maybe the closest. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do embrace that a lot. I have an affinity with it. If you come into my home, you see the Kemetic poster behind me, but if you go into other parts of my place here, it's very influenced by Oriental art. I just have an affinity. I have a connection to it, past life stuff, I believe. Anyway, to have this sense of the importance of knowing who and whose we are. I say this to you, and every time I come to you, it's going to be 10 times easier. This is not an easy time, but it's not meant to be an easy time. Growth is not easy. Labor is not easy. All women know this, for the most part. Even if we haven't had children, we know those who have had, and they talked about the hours of labor. But from what I understand, and I can use this metaphysically, my laboring in my spiritual practice was not easy, and sometimes very painful, very confusing, very difficult. But what came through was worth every effort. And I'm sure, it's the same way with a woman who goes through all those hours of labor. But what comes forth, this beautiful child that's sitting in her arms, loving you already unconditionally. It is the same way when I started my spiritual path to learn with all this, because see, I was taught, like many, that what I called God, what I was taught was God was very judgmental, was some person like being that couldn't do anything other than to judge me constantly. And so I was making this effort to be so-called perfect. And when I learned that that was nonsense, when I learned that everything I was attempting to be, I already am, then my life got 10 times easier.
I
Yes.
want to bring that into its context. First of all, everybody, we're not here to talk down to you. We're here to talk to you. What may seem what we're talking about might be difficult for you. This is the part of when we come up and we're talking about the thought, but what follows, and I want to reiterate what Het-Heru said, is the emotions. So it's actually the fourth principle. We both come from different sources. I come from Sophia, the mother of wisdom. Het-Heru comes from a different. But as you can see, when it's the spirit, it's really very similar. The thing that I think and I'm speaking for her, but I want to say part of the male dominated father son thing was more of what turned me off was just saying I am a slave to that, a slave to religion. The part of being an adult of the spirit, the mind, and the thought is what's growing as a central person. And she brought up the three: the lower, the middle, the higher. As you grow, now if you get into this, you understand that sooner or later, all three of them meet and they become the one. That's the part of the growth. Separate, but when it's unified, your spiritual growth will jump and you will be able to use your thought for the creation that you want. You see, only one word can change thought, and that is the word fear. Fear and not freedom. And so the thought here is for us to grow up. And because of her experience and all the things that she's gone through and been through and taught, okay, um, these are words to listen to because, listen, guys, we're in a place right now where it's time to grow up. If you don't do the work, this is how we're going to go next. Is if you're not willing to do the work, you will not get the results. So I'm going to leave it up. Keep going there, Het-Heru. I just want to bring that into a little English because you're so smart. I got to bring it down in the primary level. You know what I'm saying?
You know, you've heard many times about the definition of insanity is doing something the same way all the time and expecting something different. That's true. It's just a matter if you don't like what's going on in your life, then what you need to do is to change. Not you, not somebody else. You need to change. You need to change your thinking. And Michael asked me last week about what is done in order to feel in a more uplifted manner. Then what are you doing to have that experience? If you're doing the same thing you've been doing for the last month, years, whatever, and you're expecting something to be different as a result of that, it's just not going to happen. So wherever thought goes, energy follows. For me, I got into metaphysics. Metaphysics helped me tremendously because it explained to this Capricorn way of thinking, it explained why things happen the way they. I could align myself with understanding that there is an intelligence that we connect with through the laws that govern the universe in which we live. Everything that we do are laws that govern the universe in which we live. Many of my friends are musicians, and they'll tell you in a second that there's a connection between music and what do you call it? Numbers, arithmetic, not arithmetic. What's the word? You know what I'm saying? People
Measurement.
who are really good. But help me out. What's hmm?
Measurement.
No. It's just what you call mathematics.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
yeah, that there is a that it's the same. That's what they're operating with. Well, what they're operating are the laws that the physics of mathematics. Astronomers, if there wasn't an intelligence that's operating in laws in a specific way, they wouldn't be able to do that. You couldn't fly a plane if you weren't aware of the specific laws, like the law of gravity, the laws of aerodynamics. So it's the same way with life. All right. There are specific laws that behooves us to follow that allow us to have a life that's filled with blessings, many blessings, health, goodwill, joy, okay, abundance. But we must recognize these laws. And one of the laws is, and a very powerful one, wherever that goes, whatever you're focusing on, if you're sitting in front of the television all day long and listening to what's going on in the world, you're not going to find any joy in that. I understand you want to have some of that information, have some of that information, but don't sit in front of it. I have this friend with whom I dance, and I remember talking to him one time. He was telling me that he wasn't feeling well, that he didn't have any energy, and this and that, and so forth and so on. And I said, well, how do you spend your day? He says, well, I'm watching the stuff that's going on in the world, or I'm listening to da 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 da. And I said, don't you understand that's taking your power away? Move your energy away from that and focus on something that gives you energy, that gives to you energy. Again, I like the way he spelled it, I-N energy. What's within you? And you do have the right and you do have the power to make changes in your life, to have the life that you want to have.
Um, could you give like specifically on for like a woman? How does a woman, from the woman standpoint, because we're different. I'm going to give the
Yep.
male perspective here. We're giving
Okay.
an overall, but just some words on women right now because there's such a confusion and people are just the women are having their own issues, and I'm going to go into the with the men.
Hmm. Well, we've been programmed to look for our knight in shining armor. I think that's still going on. I have for a number of years during the holidays. I subscribed to the Hallmark channel because it's just fun to watch all this Christmas stuff. This last time I was thinking, why am I so cold? Well, these are shot in Canada and there's constant snow and this and that. But the message is always the same that some guy's going to come out. He's going to be perfect for you. You might have some trauma at first, but he's going to come in and he's going to make your life better. You may have to make the choice of giving up the work that you enjoy and love doing. You might have to move your physical self to where, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not saying that's wrong. Okay, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that looking for something or someone outside of ourselves to bring us our joy, it doesn't work that way. We must find the joy within. I was asked to speak at a wedding many years ago, and one of the things I brought up was the idea, the illusion that we look for our better half or our, is like with Jerry Maguire, you complete me and all that other stuff that isn't true. That if we're not whole within and we're looking for someone else to come and do that, you just have two halves. All right. You don't have a whole being. You have two halves because of the law of attraction. Water seeks its own level. Whatever we're missing in our own lives, we're going to attract that. It's not going to bring us that sense of fulfillment. You just have two halves that are operating. So, like with everything we do, the work, we find what brings us our joy. I like the time. now that women are living in because we can be financially independent. Women are not looking for husbands. As soon as you get out of high school, you know, in my generation, you got married and whatever. But they're going to school and they're getting careers and they're assisting with the financial part of the relationship. So I personally believe it's a better time. Um, we are also speaking up more. We always have, but we're speaking up more and we're letting folks know when something isn't working right, and we're doing things about it to make that change. So you find your joy, find your joy.
Um, so thank you for that. You don't want to add to that. Even for the ladies, that the best thing you can do is be on your spiritual path. Okay, if you're not, part of it, if you're not with someone, you're on a spiritual path. And I'm not saying Het-Heru, she was married. She got married early in her life. Me, I got married later in life. And so, for the men out there, this is the time you are to prepare yourself. We're made to uh, work. We're made to build. We're protectors. It is innate, basically, in us. So the thing is, for yourself, if you haven't found your woman, then you need to be working on you.
Mhm.
I was 20 years old. I was working two full-time jobs because at 20 years old, you guys, you're so young. This is when you have the energy to get yourself prepared to find that lady, or if you want to have a child. Now, the thing is, between the two of you, all the sexes right now is not blending, and it's more of competitiveness. We're not supposed to be competitive against each other. We have to figure out ways for us to work together, and it's okay for a man and a woman to be friends. You don't have to be romantic with every woman, or every man that you meet. It's friendship. It prepares you for a better relationship, and it also gives you an opportunity to round out your skills, to work on your mind and your thoughts, because a mate is not going to make up for your past. They're here to bring each one of you into the present together so that you can be a present. So I want to close this off here and give my great guest here, Het-Heru, the final thoughts here. And to just bring it up. Oh, real quick here, just want to bring in, if you haven't, let's go to, and I posted this, um, het-heru.com. She's going to find out all about the chakras here, and which is the sacred oil that I've been using for 15 years. And there's also this 28-day balancing kit that you should really consider if you really want to get yourself back just in a place of neutrality, of strength, and just encouragement, so that you can take that thought and make it energy for you.
um, I wanted to add something that you were saying. Oh, first of all, the more balanced your chakras are, the more balanced your life will be. So it's advantageous for you to do that. Uh, Michael was saying something about having friends. I have a lot of friends. Some are male, some are female. I'm blessed like that. And oftentimes, my male friends and I will meet at a neighboring cafe and have breakfast, and we'll talk and this and that. But none of them are romantic friends. They're friends. And so, a gentleman that is the manager there, I was there with a friend one time, and he engaged us in conversation, this and that. So I went another time, but I had a different friend with me, and this guy thought, manager thought it was the same guy. So he said, oh, da, 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 da. And then he looks and he realizes, oops, that's another one. So so he was embarrassed for a moment, but I let him know, nothing, you don't have to worry about this. So he teases me all the time about the fact that I have friends that are male as well as female. So yeah, not everybody will be your romantic partner, but again, the more balanced you are within, and yes, women are different. We are the nurturers. We are, as I said, the men are the dragon slayers. You go out and you slay the dragon, you bring it back, and we turn it into dragon stew. That's all metaphorically, you know. But all of us, the more we can connect and take our power back, I was talking last week, take our power back by recognizing the power that we have to manifest what we want in life through the power of thought, assisted by the power of feelings as well.
Next week, when we meet, I really want to spend some time on the essential oils. We haven't done that in a long time,
Okay.
because every time, everything you talk about, there's always that essential oil that will,
Mhm.
accentuate that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you going dancing tonight?
I'm debating my friend, my um, female friend that I go out and we go dancing. She's Puerto Rican, so she likes salsa. So we have a good time. It's under the weather. So I'm debating if I'm going to go. I'm not going because she's not going. I'm debating. I probably will. I'm talking smack,
Are
but
you going? Get out of
I'm
here.
going.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, my darling.
We'll
Thank you.
see
Take care, everybody.
you. It's always fun, talking about these things that are just, they're not easy to talk about. And again, we're not here, yeah, we're older and we're giving you the experience of our life. And, this path is not easy. And I think that that's something that most of the young kids have to realize, that it's going to take work. It's not makeup on your face. It's not the clothes you wear. It's not even the money that you have. You see, this is such a great thought, because everyone passes sooner or later, and all you have left is your thought. Now, I'm going to give you a little secret. The spirit world is right in front of you. There is literally only a veil. You can't see it, but it literally, the spirit world is right in front of you. And that's for you to acknowledge. And you can't get there unless you can become an adult of your spirit, an adult of your mind, and as we talk tonight, an adult of your thought, to be able to take each thought and be in control of them, to know where to take maybe anger and to put it in a room and close the door so you can still love. We're going to be talking more about this. We wanted to get into the essential oils. We're going to get into it next week. I'm going to be on TikTok. We're going to be talking about all this. We're going to be giving out also some samples of her. I'm telling you, once you take one snip of one of her essential oils, you're going to be locked, buddy. You're going to be locked. So thank you again, Het-Heru, for being here. We hope all those who are coming in now and who are coming in later, because this shows the kind of stuff that wisdom is for forever, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you well, and I'll see you on the next video.